Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. Today, I am accompanied by Daphne, and my name is John. And
Today we are with Emma and Julie. Good morning.
good morning.
We are gonna talk about how it is to live in America and in France, and we are mostly gonna talk about education and the differences between the way of living. So let's go.
Okay, so girls, can you introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, my name is Julie. I'm 25 and I currently live in Paris. I've been living abroad for a few years. I moved to London when I was 11. I stayed in London for about 4 years, basically during middle school. And then I moved to near Washington, D.C., 3 years for my high school. That's when I met Emma, actually. And then I chose not to go back to France and to study in Canada. I went to McGill University in Montreal, and I studied psychology for 3.5 years. And I moved back to France, to Paris in 2020. I decided to study human resources. I did my master's here, and now I work in Paris.
It's actually very interesting. What about you, Emma?
So yeah, my name is Emma, and I was born in the United States because my dad is in the military. He's in the French Navy, and so we moved a lot back and forth between France and the U.S. And so we had to move there for his work, and so I was born there, and then I left when I was 3 years old. Moved back to France, moved around in France, and then I moved back to the U.S. When I was in 6th grade. And so I was in Virginia Beach. And then I moved back when I was in, 8th grade? Yeah. And then to do my high school, part of my high school in France. And then I went back to the US just to do my last year, my senior year of high school, where I was in the French International High School where I met Julie. And then I decided to stay in the United States to do my studies, so I did my bachelor's near Washington, D.C. My bachelor's degree in psychology and with a minor in sociology. And then same in 2020, I decided to go back to France to do my master's degree and become a psychologist in France.
As you said, you both studied in France and in the US.
Yes.
Have you noticed any real differences between both?
Yeah, so the learning strategies are different. It's also that during middle school and high school in the US, the teachers and the adults are very present for the teenagers, which is good, I think, during middle school because middle school, it's puberty, so a lot of changes, so you can be lost, and so having someone that tells you it's okay to make a mistake, it's okay, you can just try again, it's nice. But also during high school, the teenagers can be independent. The teacher is going to say 5 times, okay, so tomorrow we have an exam, and on this exam there's going to be this question. And so they don't know how to work, and so when the Americans go to college for their studies, they're lost because they don't know how to
Study by themselves.
How to study by themselves. So for me, with my French education, I felt like college, so the studies were really easy because I knew how to study. I knew how to open a textbook and just study.
You know how to organize yourself.
And so during my 4 years, a bachelor is different than the studies in French because a bachelor, you say you do a bachelor in psychology, but you have a lot of also general studies, and you have to pick classes in different credits. So like I had to pick a sport class, like 2 sports class credits in like history or like in arts. So you learn a lot of different things, but I felt like I was not learning enough about psychology. And so when I moved back to France and I did my 2 years, my master's degree, I felt like I learned more during those 2 years than my 4 years of bachelor's. And I felt like I lost a lot of my study time. So I understand why in the US to be a psychologist you need to have you need to do a thesis and to be a doctor. Whereas in France, with a master, you can be a psychologist because you're ready. But in the US, you need to do much more studies. It was the same thing with internships. So in France, you have to do internships to learn the real work and the job. Whereas in the US, you just do them during, I don't know if you do them during your master's, but I know you do them during the thesis, but it's really late during, it's really late, and I feel like you're kind of losing time just being there.
I felt the same thing. I was studying psychology in Canada, so it was an Anglophone university, and I felt the same thing. I was studying psychology, and I had to take a lot of other classes, and I felt like I wasn't learning enough psychology, and that's kind of why when I moved back to France, I switched to like something else, because I felt like it wasn't concrete, like I wasn't learning enough, and it didn't feel like I'm learning this, now I know what to do. It just felt like knowledge, but like lost in so many other things. So yeah, I agree with that. And also you were talking about like differences between French and more like North American way of studying. There's something that's like extremely weird for me, and it's always weird. It's in France, you're used to writing like essays, like dissertation, whatever. And I think this is good because even if your paper is not good, you're going to explain why you wrote this, why you think this is something. In the United States and in Canada, it's the same. You have multiple choice questions. So you read like a textbook that's this thick. You learn so many things, and then you just have to like pick an answer. And it's like, you can't even explain why you're picking this answer. So it didn't feel like you were learning enough and that you could express yourself. And it's just, you kind of feel like a rat, like in a lab. Like, okay, you know this, check, good, and that's it. And like, your papers are not graded by people, they're graded by machines. Yes. And it's like, it just felt very, I don't know, like, not human. I don't know if that makes sense, but
and I get why, like, people after when they work, they feel lost because it's not the proper questions that people ask you to put words, like, tell what you're thinking, and it's just so hard for them to do that. And it's sad how Americans, when they go to college, they're just lost because during so many years their parents were there for them, the teachers were there for them, and then when they go to college, so it's like big campus, and they have to eat know how to eat by themselves. So there are big like cafeterias, but they have access to all those kind of food, and they don't know how to eat properly, like how to eat vegetables and stuff like that. That's why they they talk about freshman 15. So your first year of college, freshman year, everybody gains 15 pounds because they don't know how to eat. There are a lot of, it's so sad, but there are a lot of people that go through depression because they're lost. I mean, they live on a campus where they have access to everything, especially alcohol, because before that in the US it's, you have to be 21, so, and they're so strict with those rules. But when they go to college, they just don't know how to work, they don't know how to eat, so
I think that's true. You were gonna say?
I was just gonna say that. So you consider American superior studies such as college, etc., better than France?
The quality, no, the other way.
The other way around. Sorry.
Yeah, the quality of the studies, I would say the other way.
I mean the work ethic. So
yes,
I don't know if, like, maybe later if you do. I don't know, if you become a doctor, maybe, I mean, the quality, I'm sure, is great. But just for the few years, at least, the bachelor's and everything, I think they had...
I would say the first, we only did bachelor's.
Yeah.
So it's true that during these few first years, it didn't feel intense enough for me.
And high school also.
And high school.
I mean, I did middle school also. Like, it was so easy.
Yeah.
Because many students in France are feeling actually lost too in the universities, etc. Because many of them are sick of the way universities teach students how to understand the courses, etc. It's just a teacher in an how do you call this, an amphitheater,
Yeah.
just speaking for a few hours, and you just have to write down everything, and you just going
Most
to
of
have
my
to learn
classes
by
were
heart.
like this, actually.
Even in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my first few years of at university, it was the same. Yeah, we were like 400 in the classroom.
But that was at McGill, right?
Yeah.
I was in, I chose this, but in university I was smaller, and we were like, I don't know, 15 per class. So it's different.
Sorry about that. So yeah, what I was saying is that the big difference is that in France, you mostly tell maybe your friends or your family who you vote for, but that's it.
Yeah, it's very private and taboo.
Yeah, it's private. In the US, it's not private at all. Like, my neighbors had posters of Hillary in their backyard. It's like, this is who we're voting for, people.
Everyone does that.
Look at it. Yeah.
But there's so many taboo subjects in France that are not in the US, like talking about money, like religion.
Yeah.
In the US, they all talk about religion. There's so many types of religion over there, but also like it's part of the Constitution. On the dollar bills, it talks about God. The president has to swear on the Bible or like
That's true.
other scriptures. So
They don't have this like separation with religion that we have in France.
Which is paradoxical because in France we have whatever is called like liberty of expression, and everybody talks about liberty, freedom, etc. Everyone can do whatever he wants. He can believe in whatever he wants, and basically we have so much freedom, but people are so closed-minded concerning many subjects.
That's
different
true.
Subjects. Yeah.
We can believe in whatever we want, but it's just that we don't really say like out loud.
yes,
We don't
because of judgment.
in our
Yeah.
backyard or something.
Oh well, if you in
Yeah.
the US, there's an American flag in every backyard because they're
Yeah.
very patriotic. In France, if you do that, people are gonna hate you.
Yeah. I feel like maybe it's now more than it was a few years ago, but I feel like French people are not proud to be French. You see what I mean? Like,
think so?
They complain.
they complain a lot, but in the US, they are proud to be American. They are proud to have the flag. They are proud of
Patriotic.
everything. Yeah, and I don't feel that in France. Everybody is always like, you know, like when there's a sports game and Macron is there, everybody's booing him.
Yeah.
You might not agree with what he's doing, with like what the law he passed, whatever, but he's your president, and right now he's representing France for everyone to see on their TV in the whole world, and you're booing him. And I feel like that, I don't know if that would happen in the United States or in other countries, but I feel like it happens more in France.
Yeah, because for so many years, they tell the Americans like you're the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
You're the one that saved so many other countries because of immigration and all the people they accepted.
And
It was
you helped solve World War II.
yes. It's a big power, and so the Americans, for them, they're the center of the world. Like English is the most spoken language. A lot of Americans don't know where the other countries are. Like
That's
they
true.
have no clue of the history, the world history outside the American one.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're also, it's such a big country. It's crazy. I mean, Texas is the size of France.
Yeah.
Like, and it's one of the 50
And
states.
there are 50 states.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Do you consider their general knowledge isn't that great?
Yeah, I would say that. I feel like they don't have. I'm talking about like the general population there.
Yeah.
I would say that they are not super educated on what is happening in the rest of the world. I would say some are, and that's probably the ones that are in school or doing studies or like living in East or West Coast.
But is it to their opportunities given to them, or the educational system, the financial support?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know, in middle school, did you learn about other countries? when you were living there? Because
Um,
in France you do learn about China, you learn about the US, you learn about South America, you learn about the whole world. I don't know if did you?
no, it was not much. It was a lot of the American history, which is short, and also like American authors, not international authors.
Yeah. So it makes sense.
But I mean, so this is more about like international knowledge, but maybe on other topics they're, I don't know if I'd say more advanced, but you know, like relationships and emotional intelligence. I mean, it depends where you are in the States, you know, but they take more into account people.
Yeah.
You know.
Ooh, I remember that was shocking to me. When I started school in Canada, so that was a small class. We were taught, it was a course about, I think it was like sexuality or something like that.
Okay.
We were about like 15, 20 people in class. And the first question was, okay, everyone, each one of you is going to introduce yourself. And you're going to say which pronoun you want us to use when we talk about you. So I had to say, hi, my name is Jolie. I'm 19 or 20. And I go by she.
Okay.
Which means I want you to call me she.
When was that?
No, it's 6 years now.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2019. And for me it felt a little weird because it had never happened before. But to everyone in the classroom it was absolutely normal.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. You know, it's, I don't know if this happens in France. Maybe it does, I don't know, but I didn't think so. Yeah.
In our class, there's a non-binary person who goes by he, him, but on the list, it's not the right name. So at the start of the year, he has to change the name, and he tells it.
He has to tell everyone.
To every teacher. But some of them, honestly, they still call him by his dead name.
Yeah. That's not cool.
Yeah, I know.
We come to the same conclusion in the United States, Canada, etc. They tend to more consider the person, and their emotional aspect. Whereas in France, it's like you're supposed to be like everyone.
Yeah.
You're just a student. And
You're in a square.
There's a norm.
Yeah.
If you're above or below, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I agree 100%.
It's interesting to talk about this. Do you consider socially there are differences between French people and American people or Canadian whatsoever?
Yeah. So I think we experience the same thing, but as French people coming to the United States, you can feel as if the Americans were kind of fake, because they're very welcoming, they're very open. I remember when I arrived when I was in 6th grade, we moved into our house, and then during 1 week, every day, there would be a different neighbor coming with cookies and brownies and introducing themselves. And it was just like, whoa, like in France you have gates between your houses. In the US,
but in France, you can spend like 10 years living somewhere and never know your neighbors.
And so they're very welcoming, and like, if you need anything, no problem. Yeah. But then after that, I felt that relationships weren't very deep, that it stopped somewhere. And because there's this feeling where they're friends with everyone.
Yeah.
And so
it has to be fake at some point.
Yeah, so you feel like you don't have a really deep personal relationship with
You lose the unique aspect.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So same experience for me. When I moved to the US, I had like people bringing donuts on the first day that we moved in, and I was like, wow, this is great. So yeah, I felt the same thing. I remember once we had friends from Paris visiting, and their son was about, I don't know, 12. He went running and he didn't find his way back. So he was lost in the neighborhood, but we didn't know where. his parents were like super scared, yelling at each other. You know, normal. You don't know what's happening. He didn't speak English, so we called the police. We had like, the neighbors were like in the front yard trying to. They were like, okay, we're gonna go this way. This is my number. If I see him, I will call you. They were like helping a lot, and I thought, wow, that's great. But I agree with you. I feel like it's. So I spent 3 years in Canada, almost 4, and I kept in touch with one person. And so I'm not a very like outgoing person, but if I compare with my years in high school, it's not the same number. And language is not a barrier because the one person that I get in touch with only speaks English. So it's just that I do agree that it's not the same. You don't know if they're fake or not.
Maybe these people, like you're telling me that you haven't kept in touch with these people, but maybe if you call them whatsoever, they'll be present, or
maybe, but then that's not friendship.
Yeah.
I don't feel like friendship is calling once in 3 years and
yeah,
you know,
understandable.
I see what you mean that with certain people, even if you don't talk for a bit, when you call, it feels like you've never left each other.
But that's not
because it's that way with people because your relationship is deep.
Yeah.
With the American friendships that I had, it wasn't that.
So do you consider your closest friends being like French or?
It's just that in French culture, when you don't like someone, you can tell. You know, you're like aigri, or you're like, you're not trying to be warm to every single person that you meet. Whereas in the United States, you will. You will be friendly to everyone. You will bring donuts. You will, I don't know. It's very different, but being nice to everyone doesn't mean you're friends with everyone. So there's a thin line.
I think it's because of our French way of thinking, but sometimes you can ask yourself, like, do they want something out of this? Like, what is behind?
Interest.
And in the US, I feel like there are a lot of things that are just for appearance. For example, they put the age for drinking is 21. Because, and they're proud to say this, people don't drink before 21, blah, 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 just for the image. But it's awful because people don't know how to drink because they didn't learn because it's forbidden, and when they arrive in college, then they don't know what to do, and then there's drunk driving. It's really bad. They're so proud to say that people don't smoke a lot, like cigarette. I was very surprised when I moved back to France, and I was in troisième, and in front of the middle school, there were so many people smoking. In the US, you can't smoke in front of public areas, and so you see nobody smoking in the streets.
I agree.
It's very clean. It's very, and so you think, oh, so they have everything right in the US, but in reality, there are so many more people smoking weed or other things like that. So there are a lot of appearance, and it's very important for them.
It's like, since they have many restrictions, once you give them the right to do it, they will do it like 100% and not know how to stop.
Yeah. So that's why in a relationship, it's kind of hard to know like what is true.
Are they just being nice because it's in their way of being, or are they being nice because they actually want a friendship?
Which do you consider best, if you had to choose?
Just having like a lot of people, you know, even if you're not really close friends with them, it can be convenient at some points.
Yes. But then that's more like, I'm keeping this friend because someday it might be convenient. I don't know. It feels like kind of strategic.
I don't know. Maybe it's not a good example, but when you were talking about that, I was thinking about weddings, and so. Because I'm preparing my wedding, that's why I think about that, the big differences. But in France, you do a big event and you get married and then you dance until like 6 in the morning and it's a big party and everything. In the United States, you do a rehearsal dinner, so the night before, just to make sure everybody has the right place, the right spot.
They know what to do.
There's the music at this point, so it's very, you know, like in the
Stage.
appearance, stage. It has to be perfect. And then you have before the wedding, so you have so many bridesmaids with all their dresses, and there's a photo shoot just for the bridesmaid where they have matching outfits and all their makeup and dresses. It's the same thing for the bachelorette party. People spend so much money going to Vegas or Florida, and so you do all those the pictures are a huge part of the event. Then you do the ceremony that's like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. People go to the buffet and just eat like a few plates. They dance for a maximum of 2 hours, and in that 10, everything is packed and everybody goes home. You know? And a lot of it is like appearance, like, you know, living.
It's okay, we have the picture. You guys can go.
And like, how can you be best friends with so many people? You know? Like your bachelorette party is normally the closest people. So it's very different.
I was asking you this because I feel like, maybe it's personal, I don't know, but I feel like in Paris there's a sort of an anxiety, like people are always mad and always there's so much hatred and people are like constantly angry.
That's
and
a perception.
And I think other parts of France aren't like this. In Paris it's some sort of an exception, I think. But recently I went to Sweden. I felt like people were nice everywhere. Like people, when I was talking to strangers, even people selling me things, etc., everyone was smiling. They were like, hey, how are you doing today, etc. Everyone was fluently speaking English. Everyone was nice. I was walking by in the forest with my girlfriend, and an old lady came by, and she was like, I just wanted to tell you guys that you were cute together, and I hope everything is going well for you, and I wish you all the best and much luck. And in Paris, when somebody comes by, like you're scared, you're going to tell yourself, what the heck does he want from me? Is he going to steal my watch, or is he going to talk to me about a new business plan? I don't know, but it feels kind of weird, and people don't seem to appreciate each other, and they aren't smiling a lot, etc. So maybe in the United States, I don't know, they might be superficial, but I feel like in some other countries or in some other cultures, people seem to be more open-minded and to be like kind to each other, and considering like you don't know what people are living in their lives, so just be kind to each other, and by the end of the day, everyone is happy. Whereas in France, where if you're having a bad day, you're going to act like you're going to make people understand that you're having a bad day.
That's
and you're going to show them that you're having a bad day, in that you're feeling angry, and you're going to feel that.
But I think it goes back to what you were thinking, that during your studies, you couldn't ask questions because people were going to bring you down. Because of this, when you see somebody with a nice outfit, it's going to be harder to go to that person and say something, because during your whole education, people are like, shut up, don't talk. Or like, you're going to say something stupid, or you're gonna make a mistake.
It all goes back to like childhood and how we were taught things and how we learned.
Of course, in the US, it's so nice that people just stop you in the street and it's like, oh, I like this, and it's something we should learn from, because that's how, I mean, it can make somebody's day, and just receive a nice compliment. I know French people complain a lot about Paris, also international people. People also say that it's the same thing in New York, like in big cities, where everything goes fast. I mean, I haven't lived there, so I couldn't say, but
Okay. I'm going to jump on that. You were talking about when you talked about education, like teachers dropping you down, etc. How are the relations between teachers and students in the United States?
They're very different because, first of all, you don't say Mr. or Mrs. You talk talk to them by their first
Their
name.
First name, yeah.
I think there's also the difference that in French there's the vouvoiement,
Yeah.
and in the United States it doesn't exist. So yeah, the relationship is different. They want to be your friend. They
Yeah.
want to.
They act like they want to be your friend.
Yes.
But they give you the impression that you can always come to them,
Mhm.
always talk to them, and that they will make time for you.
But there's also a limit to that because it depends how old you are. But at a certain age, you need to have limits. I felt like some students were kind of taking advantage
Pushing that, yeah.
of the closeness with the teachers.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
So do you consider this overall being bad or good?
We need to find a balance.
Yeah, it's always the same. I feel in education, in friendship, in everything, in patriotism, in everything, you need a balance. You know, it's like, I feel like the US is the extreme option, and then France is the other extreme option, and then you need to find like some kind of balance.
But yeah, so it's very rich for us to know different cultures and
Yeah.
to have lived in other countries because you see that countries work differently.
Yeah.
And have different concerns and different priorities. Like in the United States, they don't talk about climate change, or not so much as France. Like people are not as stressed out. People they consume so much over there. So I feel like that was a big difference when I moved back to Paris. Like everybody tries to make efforts and know that it's important, and yeah, in the United States they don't care because it's not a priority.
But do you think that they know that it's a problem, or they really just don't care about
Yeah,
it?
I think there's a lack of education.
Okay.
They are more optimistic than us on so many things. So
Even if it's like scientific facts.
they don't know all those scientific
Yeah.
facts. Like
Yeah.
they like their comfort.
Mm.
Like they buy prepackaged food for everything. Water bottle for
They
everything.
like things to be easy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to a store, every single store has parking spots in front of it because they know nobody is gonna come walking.
Yeah.
Everybody's driving.
There are no small streets.
Yeah.
There are
You're-
no transportation is awful. Like
Yeah.
buses and everything. It's so bad.
You're gonna park your car, and then if you want to move to the other shop that's like the same street, just like over there, other sidewalk, you can't cross the road. You can't walk. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
It's like a highway.
No,
You need
really.
to take your car
Yeah.
and then move
Exactly.
right there. It's not, things are not made for pedestrian.
Mm.
It's so, and it's stupid. You're like, well, you're just like crossing the street. Why would you not walk?
Mm.
Think about the environment. But no, it's
No.
not. It's not in their culture. It's not made for. I don't know.
But also because it's so big and they have
Yeah.
to filled with stuff, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
Do people try to learn things by themselves? Is it easy to actually learn things, to make researches? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Because in France, many people are concerned about what's going on in the world, about medias, about there are YouTube channels explaining everything and making things easy for people to understand, even in any domains, like it could be political, it could be scientific. Are there these kind of things in the US? Do you consider people are interested in knowing things? Are they subscribed to these kind of channels, medias, things like that?
I think it depends.
Yeah. When they believe in something, they believe it 100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there are so many like extreme, like even in religion or stuff like that. So if they believe in a movement, like gay rights or like Black Lives Matter, like they're gonna. Some people. I mean, it also depends where you live in the United States.
Yeah, that's what I was
Where
gonna
we
say.
lived, it was like people would go 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a big interest in like international, like for wars and stuff like that. Some people will get really interested and then post it on social media, and that's the big thing. When somebody starts posting on social media, people are like, "Oh, I have to do the same because I have to follow. Like,
Yeah.
I have to show that I'm impacted and I'm going to do something about it." But in reality, I don't know if they know much about the rest of the world.
I would say, I don't know if you felt that, but there's also something in France that is, in most families, I'm not going to say every family, but in most families in France, you eat dinner together. The parents, the kids, you wait until everybody gets home from work or school, you eat together, and then in most families, you watch Le 20h. It's like, Le 20h is at 8 because it's after people eat or during people eat. And it's like, I don't know who thought about that, but it makes sense in our culture. I feel like that's not how it happens in the US. So first of all, people don't eat together. You can have like the dad eating in his bedroom, the mom eating on the sofa, and the kids eating before everyone or after, or like the nanny can be there and like helping the kids eat. There's not this like family thing.
Okay.
And I don't feel like, okay, now we're gonna sit down and watch the news together. That doesn't really happen.
No.
Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I feel eating times are very different. It's also
Yeah.
like for lunch, people have 20 minutes, and you have to even when you're in school, like you have 20 minutes to eat really fast. They don't prepare like a home cooked meal with everybody together, where you can ask questions and talk and about like everyday subject. I mean, it's maybe just us, our education, how we were. Maybe in France, people don't live that kind of like every day. They don't have those kind of dinners. But in the United States, children are a lot on their screens, social media, and so. But also, it goes back to having all those activities.
Yeah.
There's always like the girl at soccer and the boy who's doing football, and so where we lived, especially moms had like were always going to pick up somebody and go there, and like they were doing everything for their children. That's like children didn't know how to take a metro or something like that because they were dragged everywhere, and moms would do the schedule and they would pack the lunches and do everything, and so children just had an easy life. Like that's what they call soccer moms. Soccer moms are like moms that do everything for their children and just
that's a great expression. So I don't feel like they lack access because they are on social media. In most classes, like I would see the computers of the people sitting in front of me, and they would be on Instagram and everything. They are seeking information, but then with all of these apps, it's always the same thing. You only see the information that you subscribe to. So if you only want to see like I don't know, models or like singers or Instagrammers, then that's what you're gonna see. If you don't subscribe to like I don't know, like BBC, then you're not gonna see it.
Of course.
Obviously. Whereas I feel in France, you have this culture of like le JT, le 20h, BFM en continu, and you always watch it. Like you know it's there, and when you come home, you want to watch it. Like you want to. If you turn on TV, you're gonna see that, and
even C'est pas sorcier.
All kids remember that in France, and it was like, like science. It's not foot de rue. It's like you're learning something.
And is there self-criticism a lot in the United States? For instance, earlier you mentioned people booing Emmanuel Macron. And many people being patriotic, etc. in the United States. Is it frequent to actually witness people saying that this country is doing bad things, our country isn't actually doing the good things for its population, for its impact worldwide, etc.?
It's not the country, it's like who's in charge. And so yeah, I feel
there's also this feeling that French people are always mad because they do a lot of strikes, or in the US people don't do that.
That's actually like people over the world are like impressed.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't mess with French people. They're gonna riot.
First of all, they don't work.
They don't want to work past 64 and then if you try to make them, they will put the head of the queen on a stick. Which is true, we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like self-criticism is more common in France and in Europe than it is in North America, in the United States.
But in the end, today you're living in France, so are you actually happy with this outcome, or have you chosen to live here? If maybe later on, will you continue to live here, or would you go back to the United States or something?
So I chose to come back after living 11 years abroad. I kind of felt like I was always moving and I wanted to experience my own country because I left France when I was 10, 11 and I had an experience that was the one of a child and I wanted to see what is it to live in France as an adult. So I chose to come back and it's been 3 years and I like that I have a work, that I have a place to work that I like my the people I work with, but I would go somewhere else again. Yeah, I feel I'm used to moving. I'm used to this. There's a rhythm. Like I switched country every 3 or 4 years, and I'm used to this. And I feel like I'm soon coming to the end of the cycle.
Yeah.
And I might need to move again.
Do you know where you would like to go?
I want to visit another country, like one that I haven't lived in. So not the UK, not Canada, and not the US. I would actually like to maybe Austria.
Okay.
Someplace in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I would live in the US again, just a different city. Not New York, not LA. These are not cities that I enjoy going to. But yeah, I think I would move again.
What about you?
So for me, it was a bit different because I was moving a lot, but when we would move to the US, we would know that 3 years later we would go back to France. So we knew what the end would be, would always be going back to France. So when I was doing my studies, and my parents moved back to France and I was still in the US, I was like, okay, now it's my decision. Do I want to go back? Do I want to go back because I'm always used to go back, or because I like it there? When I lived in the States, it was always so much fun to go back to France during the summer. But did I like going back because I like France, or because I like France during the holidays, during the summer, where everything is fun and nice and all that, and I get to eat cheese and saucisson and fun stuff. And yeah, so it was a big decision where we wanted to go with my boyfriend, because I knew that it was the right time. If we wanted to live in France for the rest of our life, it was the right time for my studies to do my master's in France. There was a big decision also where we would picture our family when we have kids, because we knew we wanted them to be close to their cousins or their grandparents, so we knew that would be in France. There was also talk about money because, well, first of all, it's expensive to go back and forth. And also in the US, if you have no problems, it's all good. But when you have just a tiny health problem or something like that, and you don't have money, you don't have insurance, like it's so bad. Everything costs so much. Studies, there's no social securities, like it's really bad. And so we knew that for security and safety, it was better in France because in the U.S. it's the country of just extremes. Like you don't know what's gonna happen from a day to another, and it's kind of scary how they can just pass laws and like some states pass laws for like the end of abortion or stuff like that. It could just switch like that, and also like guns and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many things are uncertain, and I don't feel as safe as I feel in France for like some aspects. I think we also decided to move back because our family is French, and so we're so used to that, and you feel more comfortable because you're used to the culture. But yeah, it's a big question. I don't think I would go back because, well, technically I can't work there. I can't be a technologist over there, so I don't want to redo my studies.
Yeah.
But I think moving to different countries is so important for children. Like I learned so much from moving with my family, and it forces you to step out of your comfort zone. Because like you arrive in a country where like you don't speak the language, you don't know how things goes, and you just, to survive, you have to get out of your comfort zone and test things. And I feel like it was the right country when I arrived in 6th grade because, like I said, puberty and so many changes. I feel like people were there to welcome me and guide me and say like, it's okay, you're gonna go through this and it's gonna be fine. But yeah, so I decided to go back to France, and I'm very happy. Especially for the health system, which is very nice. Also, like studies are less expensive. Transportation is great. I like that it's a smaller country. Like Europe, you can go to country. Like in US, it's more difficult. Yeah, basically, that's it.
Okay. We can try some sort of a game. I just made it up.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to tell me if you rather the United States or France.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's try this out. If it doesn't work, we'll see. Food.
France. No question.
Oh my god.
France has cheese.
Yeah.
So I mean,
they
what
can't
else?
There's so
do you
many
need?
things, pastries and butter. And
That's
all
true.
That, like,
But cheese is on top of my list.
yes.
French cuisine.
Their food has no.
Yeah.
They also don't have the taste buds. Like
Yeah.
I worked in a French pastry. So it was like a French pastry shop, and we would do like French typical pastries, and the Americans just didn't like them because they don't feel like, they just wanted like pumpkin cheesecake, like just basic stuff, and they don't have the interest. Of
Yeah.
the taste.
Yeah. They stay in their like comfort zone.
Sugar.
Yeah. They don't try new
Flavors.
new flavors, but they try different cuisine because they feel like it's their cuisine. Like they take a bit of cuisine from like every country, and then they think it's American.
Yeah.
Like I heard like Americans say, "Oh, I think U.S. pizza is actually better than Italian pizza," and I was like, "You guys don't have pizza at all. Like, stop it." So yeah, but no, France. Food is France, no question.
Haven't you seen the interview with Tom Holland? The interviewer was like, American food is better than European food, and Tom Holland is like, what do you call American food? And the guy was like, hamburger. Tom Holland was like, yeah, okay, so it's from Hamburg in Germany. And the guy was like, okay, French fries. Tom Holland was like, French fries. Okay. Even
So
though
true.
I think it's Belgian, but anyway. Okay. Studies.
I think I would say studies France, education US. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we talked about this for like, I don't know how many days.
Yeah.
So there's no.
I would say it
Don't
depends
choose.
on your. So that's funny. I had two friends in the US. They were sisters.
Yeah.
One of them always said that
she needs, even if what she does is terrible,
Mm.
she needs the teacher to say, wow, you did good.
Yeah.
And this is how you can do even better.
Mm.
If you find that this is how you are, then I would say the American system is better.
Mhm.
Her sister said, for me, it's the opposite. I need someone to tell me you suck.
Yeah.
Like, what you
Yeah.
did was terrible.
Yeah. Okay.
And so for her, I would say the French system is better. I feel like it depends.
Okay.
But I would say the quality, I
Yeah.
would say
Friends,
France.
quality friends.
But
The way of teaching.
to boost your confidence, I
Yeah.
would say the
Yeah.
US.
Okay.
Next answer.
Pretty good actually. Entertainment.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with
Wow.
France. Ah, that's a tough one.
Like, what do you?
Whatever you like.
Okay, I'm gonna say a bit of both. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm hesitating
Yeah.
is because
Soccer.
no, the only reason I'm hesitating is because New York has Broadway
Yeah.
and
Oh
they
my
have
God.
so many
Oh, yeah.
musicals that are
Yeah.
breathtaking.
Okay.
So that's the only reason
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning towards the US. However, in France, but that's mostly true for Paris, I don't feel that in every city in France.
Mm-hmm.
You have an access to culture, ballet,
Theater, yeah.
opera, concerts, everything.
Yeah.
It's so affordable. You can go see you can go to any theater and see like little plays for 15 euros, and it's everywhere in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say France.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think for the diversity of what they offer and the different prices and different, I think, well, Paris has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
In the US, it's like big film productions, which are amazing because they have the money to do like so many great movies and everything.
What's the problem with French movies?
Some are great, but yeah. Oh, French actors are really, really good. I love musicals, and it's true that in the US they value more theater and singing and everything. Like you would see in high schools, they have so much money to create a musical and to do artistic productions compared to France. So that is great over there, I think. I think it's great that we lived in both countries because sometimes we're just missing like, I don't know, French, a little bit of French TV. We just watch
Yeah.
French TV and then sometimes American, like, you know.
That's true.
it's- Yeah, you can relate to both of the cultures. So,
When you're done with one, you
Yeah.
can switch. Yeah.
and it's great to watch like American TV shows and understand the jokes, like, you know,
Yeah.
the more
Yeah.
deep, like the deep jokes, and yeah, it's their humor. So-
That's true though. Like I chose French for entertainment, but I was thinking about like going out.
Mm.
When I stay home
Yeah.
and I put on something on TV, it's mostly like American TV shows.
Yeah.
It's mostly like
because Netflix now.
Friends, yeah.
Mm.
But they have French shows.
Yeah, they do.
They have like 10% or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
that's not. I'm not like super interested. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are TV shows better in the US?
There are more.
There are more, and there's so many TV shows and on so many different topics. So
Mm.
you know you can find something you
Yeah.
like. And they're always produced like it's a big production. So
Yeah.
when you're done watching something, there's always something else.
Yeah.
Um, That's like that you're gonna like.
It's a bigger country, so like more
Mm.
actors.
Mm.
Obviously, in France, it's always the same actors.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah. The cartoons when you were little, which one were better?
Oh, French cartoons for me.
French? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch many American cartoons. I didn't watch much TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Okay.
French were good.
The language.
Oh, French.
French?
French is so. Here's the thing. When when I was in high school, my English teacher told me English has so many words, but that's because a lot of the words are not English.
Yeah.
it's the same thing with food actually. They take words from like the word cliche.
Yeah.
They use it. It's not English at all,
Yeah.
and they do that with a lot of words.
Mm-hmm.
But the language is super easy in itself, whereas French is harder. But I feel like French is more beautiful.
French is more beautiful. I think that I like speaking English and French in the same sentence. I
Yeah,
feel like it's more natural
we
for
like
me.
franglais a lot.
With friends that live the same thing as
Yeah,
us, it's easy. You just
you just
French
switch
or English. And,
whatever comes first.
but there are a lot of French words that I can't find. They're only in the American because you said like there's so many English words and
Yeah.
I can't find the right. So sometimes it's hard. But in the American, well, in the English language, there's more. I think it's more chill and more relaxed.
I would go with France.
Transportations?
France.
France.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah.
There's there's very little
That's so bad.
transport system in the US.
Yeah.
There is in New York,
Mm.
but that's it. That's it. Like
Yeah, you have to take
In-
your car everywhere.
yeah. Even if you have like a few metro stops, like a few lines,
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't feel like it's gonna help you.
Mm.
It's always complicated. It's not. But that's because the city is very wide
Mm.
and like it's spread and I would say France.
Yeah, there are no trains. There are a few trains. Buses is like one in every 30 minutes, and like
Yeah.
you said, like the times I took the bus stop, it was like really the stop was on the road. Like it was
Yeah.
very dangerous. Like
Yeah.
crazy, and they don't have like sign that tells you like in how many minutes it's gonna arrive. So you just wait for
Yeah.
hours.
We're often unhappy about that in France, you know,
Yeah.
like we're always unhappy about the SNCF, the RATP,
Yeah.
but there are so many options.
Mm.
You are on one side of Paris and you want to go to the other side. There are so many options.
Yeah.
If you don't have a car in the US, you
lost.
cannot move around.
Mm.
And we tend to forget that. Like, yes, sometimes the system sucks and we have a lot of grévistes and whatever, but thank God it's here.
Yeah.
Like, it helps you move around a lot.
I mean, in France we complain a lot, even though
No,
we
we
have
do,
many
yeah.
things. Yeah.
And transportation helps people to be more independent.
Yeah.
Like they can go I feel like people going to middle school, they just go to school by themselves and they know how to do
Yeah.
it. Like in the States, no, it's their mom bringing them to school.
Mm.
So my last question would be, how did you feel about all the chats? Well, I think it was great sharing our experience. We never actually talked about it together, so it's
Yes.
good to see that we agree on most
Many
things.
things.
Yeah. I would just end up by saying that I think it's super cool to travel and to see new and other things. But I would say that don't think that everything is better in other countries, because France is a great country.
Yes.
And I don't think grass is always greener on the other side.
Thank
Yeah.
you for this beautiful conclusion.
Thank you.
Yes, it was nice to talk about it. It's funny how we love the US and we love so many aspects, but we decided to go back to France to work. But moving and stepping out of your comfort zone is such a growing experience. Just
Good message delivered to our folks.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you
it was a
for coming.
pleasure.